What's going on, everybody? We are back Thursday, July 5th. I hope everybody is nice and sobered up. I forgot to go down and get more coffee, so that's going to happen at some point in time whenever Jake gets into a pitcher pretty deeply. 4th of July was good for everything other than my daily fantasy career, which these past 3 days have just been brutal beatings. I need something to change. And hopefully it changes today with the weirdness that is Justin Verlander and the rest of these clowns. Jake, how was your 4th of July?
4th of July was fantastic. Had family here, as I've mentioned a couple times all week, and it was great. Just got to hang out and hang out with some friends and just everything 4th of July is about. So I was excited and won some money playing DFS too, so cannot complain about this entire week. Hope you guys had good weeks, even if your DFS lineups didn't cooperate. But
yeah, what's it like to win money?
It's fun.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, no, it feels like forever when you go a week losing, but the big wins make up for it, I guess.
True story. So gonna dig in. All we have is main slate today. No other stuff to look at. I love Thursdays, man. It's such a mental refresh.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's like 7 to 9 game slates. I think that's our sweet spot. We get to go a little bit deeper into each game and don't feel rushed or anything to get through the bad ones. So I like it.
Yeah, because we'll have, what, 14 games tomorrow probably, if I had to guess?
Yeah, 15, unless there's a Cubs home game. Then it'll be 14.
I didn't look at the schedule at all.
It's going to be a big one.
Yeah, I have it here. Let me see. Why are you showing me April? You're going to beat me to it now, I think.
Yeah, there's a Cubs home game.
Yep. So, 14 gamer tomorrow. And I really wanted to go for the Tyler Mahle, Mike Montgomery start tomorrow. Not true.
Oh, I would have loved to play some Cubs in Wrigley against Mahle. Maybe I'll play the showdown.
There you go. You ready to get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Marlins, Nats. Marlins, 3.8 run implied total. Nats, 4.8. 62% chance to win for the Nats. Pablo Lopez going for Miami. Jeremy Hellickson going for Washington. This is going to be the start of me talking about pitchers in the most generic way possible, because today is the day that I have absolutely nothing interesting to say about pitching. I'll have a little bit of Hellickson, as I will have a little bit of almost every single pitcher on this slate. The only person that's not getting a little bit will be Justin Verlander. He'll be getting a lot of bit. So for me, this is a spot to look at some bats, particularly the Nats. I'm willing to pay up because I'll have the salary and because I don't think that Pablo Lopez is anybody to worry about. So give me some Nats bats. They're relatively chalky. I'm neutral with the field, but Nats bats are what I want here, and then some of Hellickson.
Yeah, I'm with you there on Hellickson for sure. And then, I mean, I always like the Nats bats. Just a really tough lineup. I like that Matt Adams is back. Lopez looked good in his first start, and the advanced stuff was it lined up with that. Very good chase rate against the Mets, but that was at home. Good to see him have a nice first start, but when you get to face Eaton, Turner, Soto, Rendon, Harper, Murphy, Adams, I think he's got a pretty good chance to come back down to earth, and he gave up 2 home runs in his first start, so we could see some fireworks here on July 5th in DC.
Nice.
I didn't even try to do that. Yeah.
Way to work that in.
That was coming out of my mouth. I was like, oh, 4th of July. Huh?
That's perfect. Yeah, so like Eaton, Turner, Soto, Rendon, Harper, Murphy. I'm going to have those guys a bunch because there's going to be plenty of salary to go around. It's pretty hard to not like a Nat stack. I didn't look at any weather yet. I don't know if you did. I didn't see anything in my first pass of it, but I didn't really do any heavy digging. All right, so Rangers, Tigers might have some wetness. That's about it.
I don't see anything on the page that I'm looking at, so it should be fine.
No concerns, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And we have weather concerns on our daily game plan if you've signed up at osmo.com. Get the daily game plan email.
Look at you.
And we post some weather concerns there if there's any games you need to keep an eye on.
Great plug, Jake.
Yeah.
Let me plug my phone in. So, any interest in some Marlins bats? I think Dietrich and Bauer look good, or Bohr, or whatever. Well, I don't see them as a spot that you really need to load up on if we're projecting I can't talk today. Hellickson's ownership to be relatively low. It doesn't seem like the Marlins would be my first spot for like a hedge stack.
Yeah, I mean, I like Bohr. I don't mind Dietrich. I don't mind Real Muto or Anderson. So if you want to get to a very contrarian Marlins stack, they actually grade out pretty well for me. And I wasn't even thinking about them before you said anything, but now looking at my layout here, got them all projected for a decent amount of points. And I don't know. I mean, Hellickson is fine. He's missed some bats, but I don't think he's someone you have to be scared of playing hitters against. Even though I like Hellickson,
agreed.
I'll probably have some mini Marlins stacks here. It's good weather, wind blowing out 85 degrees.
What did I just enter? You know what? I don't even care. Yeah, I think I can get to a little bit of Marlins. Like I have 6% aggregate ownership on them on DK, but we're projecting 8, which is a little bit below average. That's still, I mean, Dietrich 21% projected ownership, Brian Anderson 14, Justin Bohr 15. It's a lot. I'll actually be under those 3 guys, and then Real Muto, always in play as a catcher option.
Oh wow, I didn't see their ownerships. Yeah. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, I thought they'd be low owned.
Dietrich and Bohr one I get. Relatively cheap prices, lefty on righty. I mean, I don't get 21% for Dietrich, but, if you're leading off, it makes a little bit more sense.
Sure. My boy Brian Anderson getting some respect.
We're putting some respect on his name.
Yeah. Love that guy.
This is just kind of like an uneventful game, but I have a feeling that we're going to have that same sort of problem as we work our way through this entire slate.
I think so.
At some point in time, I'm glad they don't play today. I'm really tired of not having any Dodgers and the Dodgers playing well. That has not been fun for me, going to bed and finding out that the Dodgers did something positive.
Yeah, you just got to play Max Muncy every day.
When I looked at how many runs they scored last night, which I think was like 6 or something, it wasn't crazy.
Fist pump.
I opened it up. I was like, "Fuck! How many home runs did Max Muncy hit today?" But it wasn't any. So,
you didn't have any?
No.
Okay.
I just assumed he had like 7 of them because that's just how things have been going. Rangers and Tigers. Rangers 4.6 run implied total. Tigers 4.9. It's a 52% chance to win for the Tigers. Giovanni Gallardo going for Texas. Matt Boyd going for Detroit. Much like Hellickson, I'll have like small bits of Boyd and small bits of Gallardo. This game should just be for hitting. I have the Rangers as one of my top stacks. They are number 1 on DK, number 2 on FanDuel, way above the field here. And then similarly for the Tigers, I'm neutral with the field on FanDuel, a little bit higher on DK. This game is just a game for hitters for me, but I will have a little bit of the 2 pitchers just because there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah, actually looking at Boyd a little bit, and I don't mind him for 7,800 at low ownership. Oh, actually, what is his ownership? Because he's coming up as Matthew on this one for me, and I don't have
9.
9? Okay. Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. So he's coming off a game with a 14% swinging strike rate. I mean, he has the ability to miss bats, 10% swinging strike rate on the year. Doesn't get a lot of chases, but just looks like a fine pitcher to me. Kind of always what he's been, just like average. And then he's going to get a bunch of lefties in the lineup. The Rangers also strike out almost 25% against lefties on the season, which is top 4 in the league. And Boyd can handle lefties. So risky spot for sure, but I will have quite a bit of Boyd, actually, now that I'm looking at it. If I'm targeting against him, it's Andrews and Beltre and, no Profar again, Chirinos.
Yeah, I love the righties here. We're projecting really, really low ownership for the lefties. So Chu, Mazzara, and Odor, 2%, 3%, 2%. And then Ryan Rua, only 1%. Those are the guys that I like the most for the Rangers, just because you don't need a lot of them to be different than the field. And if the Rangers are going to have a 4.6 run implied total, which is right in the pack of everybody else, I'll take the risk of having the lefty-lefty disadvantage just to be part of this stack.
Yeah. I mean, Boyd's giving up a lot of hard contact to lefties as well. So it's not like he can't get hit hard by them, even though he does strike them out more. And then you've got guys that just are swinging for the fences. Chu, Mazzara, Odor, Guzman, same thing with him. So, I mean, I could certainly see it going poorly for Boyd, but I'm going to just try to attack him with those righties for the most part.
You and I are on the same page. I've got a lot more of the righties than I do of the lefties.
So against Gallardo, you said Detroit is one of your top stacks, right?
They're 6th on FanDuel, 4th on DK, but I'm either neutral or better than the field on both.
Yeah.
And it's the
I like
runs.
Detroit.
I mean, 4.9 run implied total.
Right, right.
It's the highest of the slate.
Is that?
For me, it is.
No, Washington.
I have the Tigers higher than the Nats right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean 4.9 to 4.8, so we're quibbling here.
Got it. Wait, the Nats are only at 4.8?
That's what I have.
I'm seeing 5.3.
Let's take a look. I did update them this morning, so I'd be surprised if unless I fat-fingered something. All right, minus 182. Apparently I didn't type over the Miami one. I'm a moron sometimes.
So against Gallardo.
So you're right. What
is it 5.3?
What did I do this morning? I redid all of this. All of this. Did I not? Did I close this? Did I open the wrong file again?
I don't know.
It's not going to be one of the. It's going to be one of those days for me today. And I didn't even have like a big 4th of July. I'm stone sober. So that needs to be 9.3. Feel free to keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like the Tigers. Candelario, Goodrum. I like Jim. Is it Jim Adducci or Adducci?
Probably Adducci.
Anyways, I like him. I remember playing him against righties last year. Just super high hard contact and all of that. 46.3% against righties dating back to the start of 2017. If you look at like the WRC plus and all that, it's not great, but if he's going to hit the ball hard and be able to put it in play against Gallardo, that's a guy that I can get behind for 3,100. Same with Goodrum. We know about Castellanos. I think he's a phenomenal play. And then Matuk leading off for 3,200 is also very interesting and just a nice punt there. So the only problem is I like all the outfielders for the Tigers. And like we've said, I'm not a huge fan of using all 3 outfielders from one team because there's so many options, and I feel like you're kind of limiting yourself. But I do like all those guys individually. I'd probably rank them Castellanos, Adducci, and then Matuk.
I would agree with all of that. I would put. I mean, Matuk $3,200 is so cheap. Castellanos $5,000, but I guess today is not the kind of day where that matters.
Yeah. I mean, you can afford it.
Yeah. So Tigers 4.9 run implied total, just behind the Nats of 5.3.
Yeah.
Now we're good to go. That'll make me have more Nats now.
Okay. How do you determine whether it feels right to have a one-off in there, or is it just a matter of can you afford it and the guy has more upside in a good spot? Ryan H.
For me, it just depends on the slate size.
Yeah.
On a day like today, the only way I'll have a one-off will be on FanDuel, and that's if I have a pitcher as part of my stack, because FanDuel, if you go 4-4, you need a differentiation at pitcher. So if you don't have the differentiation at pitcher, like if you went Verlander today, the most you could do is 3 Tigers in a lineup, which is going to create a one-off. Otherwise, I won't be looking at any one-off hitters for the entire slate.
Yeah. For me, I do a lot of like 4-3-1, even on DK. So I think that it's just guys that I like that I think have chances to hit home runs with the platoon split. So I up their exposure so they come in as one-offs more often if I'm not stacking up their teammates as much.
There you go. You have anything else here on Rangers and Tigers?
No, I think we talked about it.
I hate this slate, but I simultaneously love it. Alrighty, Braves and Brewers. Braves 4.2 run implied total, which just seems low. Brewers 4.8. It's a 55% chance to win for the Brewers. Max Fried going for Atlanta. Jhoulys Chacin going for Milwaukee. Just like the past couple pitchers, I'll have 8, 9, 10%-ish of Fried. 7, 8, 9%-ish of Chacin. I'm just going to hope for the best. The Brewers on FanDuel, though, my number 3 stack, loading up on them big time because they are crazy cheap. And I'm just going to tag them big time. I don't have as much of them on DK where their prices are a bit higher, but that should not be a detriment on a day like today.
Yeah, I mean, so I've heard some talk about Fried, people wanting to use them this morning, like on Twitter and stuff, but I don't know. I mean, this Brewers lineup is super scary, like against a lefty. You got Braun in there, Aguilar, Broxton can hit lefties, Perez can hit lefties. I mean, it just doesn't look like a great matchup. I know Fried has been fine, but he's striking out a ton of lefties. I don't think these strikeout numbers are going to hold up against righties, and I mean, I just don't think it's the spot for him if he's going to be any sort of chalky. Super impressive start against St. Louis last time out. But, man, I'm worried about this spot for him. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It doesn't line up well. Braun, Aguilar, those are 2 kind of scary spots for him. Really like VR on FanDuel, 2,500 leading off potentially. Not like he's some sort of amazing hitter, but getting him to be able to lead off, that's showing you why their ownership is projected to be really high. It's just hard not to like those Brewers, man. Hernan Perez, 2,000 minimum salary on FanDuel for a third baseman. You'll take it all day. The Brewers just really make it easy to fit in Verlander. They're a nice cohort to him.
Yeah,
I'd like to pay up for some Braves to go on the opposite side of Chacin, but I don't think you need to do it all that much. We're projecting almost no ownership to the Braves, only 2% in the aggregate, so I'm actually over that. I have 3% on both. I think I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I like the Braves. The top 4, Chacin against lefties, not a very impressive pitcher, 568 xFIP, under 14% K rate, a lot of hard contact. His whip is at 165 with 5 walks per 9. I'm not sure why the Braves wouldn't be one of the chalkier options, but if they're not going to be, then I like him even more. So it's top 4, and then I have no issue throwing in Flowers or Acuna if you want to get a full 5-man stack.
Yeah, I agree. It won't take a lot to be over the field, so you don't have to load up too much on Braves. But to act like Chacin's not hittable is crazy. I'm really surprised that the Braves implied total is as low as it is.
What do you have it at? Because I'm not seeing one right now.
4.2.
4.2. Yeah, still don't see it. I don't know. You're probably just getting it from a different place, different book.
Gonna be interesting. I hope. Yeah, if that goes up, the Braves become more and more playable. But I assume it's gonna be. So there is no total out on that game yet.
So you made that up?
Yeah. That jives with ownership. That's why I'm not like looking to bump it up anymore. If they're at 2%, they're at 2% because that total's not going to be much higher. If it was 4.7 runs for the Braves or something crazy, then they'd be owned.
Sure, that makes sense.
So yeah, I like getting to a little bit of Braves if you can, just because of Chacin, but it's one of those situations where, you know, neither pitcher is going to be owned that much, so you don't have to go crazy to get a hedge stack to be above the field. Yeah. Freeman, obviously, probably the best option in this game. Right?
I would agree.
Freeman or Braun. Like, if we're talking in the entire game, I would guess Freeman or Braun as, like, you know, Braun hits lefties the same way Freeman's probably going to hit righties, just lesser than that, but cheaper by quite a bit.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, it's so weird to be like, yeah, I'm going to have 7 to 8% of every pitcher not named Justin Verlander and Shelby Miller.
Well, I mean, it makes sense on this slate.
Yeah, very unique. Orioles and Twins. Whew. Okay, here we go. Another game without a total. I think that I might be low here.
I think
I've
we're
only
going to
got
see
the total at 9. I could see that going higher than that.
Yeah, I was thinking like 9.5. Probably.
We'll up an extra hook here. Because the ownership is higher.
Yeah.
Always good to talk these things through. Not that it's going to matter. It'll be up eventually.
It looks like a little bit of wind blowing out to right, too. And target field is a pretty, like, above average hitter's park. So, good hitting environment, 80 degrees almost, and 2 pitchers that aren't very scary, especially Cashner.
Okay. Up to 9.5, so we'll do 5.5 or 4.4 run implied total for the Orioles, 5.1 for the Twins. It's a 56% chance to win for Minnesota. Andrew Cashner going for Baltimore. Aaron Sledgers going for Minnesota. So, don't know a ton about Sledgers. I assume that, you know, the captain of the Minnesota Jakes can talk you into this one. But I've got a little bit of him because he's 5,600. I have a little bit of Cashner, which makes me sick to my stomach. But again, it's that kind of day. If you're coming to this game, you're coming to this game for the bats. Twins in particular, my #1 stack on FanDuel, #3 on DK. Not to overshine the Orioles, who are #2 for me on DK. I'm just all over this game. Twins are the chalk stack on both sites, though. So if you're going to the Twins and Verlander, you want to make sure that those other guys that you have are a bit less owned, because the Twins are getting the exposure today.
Yeah, they really are. I understand it against Cashner, but he's in the James Shields territory for me, where I think teams are always over-owned against him, and he's not getting blown up at all. He's not going very deep. 6 innings is kind of in his max outside of 1 start, but he hits the 6 innings quite a bit and gives up a handful of runs, but that's not 3 runs is not going to help you out when your stack is 15% owned all around. He's just good at controlling the kind of contact he gives up, and I like Rosario, I like Escobar and Kepler too, and even Polanco for 3K. But I think the full stack is going to be too highly owned for me for the Twins, and then Slegers on the other side, or Slegers or whatever. He looks like more of a control guy. Doesn't really post big strikeout games in the minors. Gets some swinging strikes, but nothing that stands out to me as me like wanting to go all in on this guy. It is a great matchup against the Orioles. So I'll have a bunch of sleegers, and if he's not going to be popular, even better, which we don't have him being popular right now. So I'll target the good matchup here and hope he can just be okay and go 5 or 6 and get a few strikeouts along the way.
Yeah, this is game 4 of me just shrugging my shoulders. This whole slate is basically the shrug emoji thing.
Yeah.
Like you want to dual stack Sledgers and Cashner? Nah, go ahead. Like anything goes today apparently.
Yeah.
Bats. Oh my God. Mauer, Rosario, Escobar, Morrison, Polanco, Kepler. Whew. It's just lefty, 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 lefty. Cashner's gonna die out there.
He certainly could, but he hasn't really much this year.
I think today's the day.
It could be.
I think today's the day. And then Orioles. I mean, Machado. I can't even believe that we're only projecting him at 3%. Like, of all days, on a day where you don't have to worry about salary, to have Manny Machado 3% is... I'm going to have way more than that. Let's just put it that way.
Well, yeah, if Adam Jones is going to be 20 and Beckham's going to be 15 or whatever we have him, then I think Machado is clearly going to be used in stacks or mini stacks. So he'll be higher than that, but I think he's the best option. I think I'd put him, well, he's the best option on the Orioles. I think I would put him behind Rosario in this game. But, I mean, I don't mind Chris Davis if he's going to be unowned. I will not play chalk Chris Davis, but looks like we have him projected for around 10%, which is fine for 3K. Yeah, the bats are popular in this game. I wasn't really expecting that, but...
Well, it's basically just Beckham and Jones. Yeah.
I mean, I just can't see people playing those two without Machado much, though.
Yeah, I don't know how a two-man... Well, I guess it's Beckham and Jones and then a rotation of everybody else, but that seems like a weird go to me. I love 1 through 5.
Yeah, I mean...
Especially at their ownerships. If Machado's 3, Trumbo's 4, and Chris Davis is 9, I'm in. I'm just in.
Sure. I think people... Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to have some Sledgers or Sleegers, but... I mean, I might end up with some Machado Jones minis, Machado Davis mini, Machado Beckham, something like that.
I couldn't agree more. It's just, I'm going to have so many bats in this game, it's insane. But be aware, Twins are very, very, very chalky on DK. 14% of the aggregate ownership we're projecting. Next closest team is the Nats at 10. They're the only 2 teams over double digits in aggregate ownership. And that makes sense. On a day like today where it's sort of an anything goes, I would expect ownership to naturally spread itself through a bunch of teams to take some chances.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Here it comes. White Sox and Astros. White Sox, 2.7 run implied total. Oh my God. Astros, 4.7. Yeah, just in case you're curious, that's a 2-run gap. 73% chance to win for the Stros. Carlos Rodon going for the White Sox. Justin Verlander going for the Astros. Justin Verlander's projected ownership today, 76%. I can't imagine not having him in the majority of your stuff. Grades out to me as a 73% chance to be a top 2 pitcher on DK, 60% chance on FanDuel to be a top scoring pitcher. It's a weird day to try to get cute. His ceiling is so dramatically different than every other pitcher on this slate. It's kind of breaking things in my mind. Yeah. I'm going to have a ton of Verlander. I'll be up in like the 65-ish% range on DK. Probably 50-ish% range on FanDuel. And I can't imagine going a different direction. There's so much availability and money out there that it's not even difficult. Like you get them by default.
Yeah, man.
I don't know what else to say. I love Verlander today, but like obviously I'm not telling anybody anything that they don't already know.
So the case to fade Verlander here is you pay up for two expensive stacks like the Nats and the Braves, and you hope they go nuts. And that those are like you need the very expensive guys, the super expensive hitters in order to take down GPPs. If we see scores like we did a few nights ago, where it didn't even matter about the pitchers, the guy won with the Newcomb -4. If the hitters are going to go that crazy, which they could, it's baseball. Then, I mean, it's not going to matter that much if you have Verlander if the expensive guys do it. So, I mean, there is a case anytime it's 75% chalk. There's a case to fade. I think he's by far the highest projected pitcher. He is for me. He's going to be for pretty much everyone. Upside for
honestly, if Justin Verlander isn't your highest projected pitcher today, you're playing DFS baseball incorrectly. Like you're 100% wrong. There's no case for him to not be.
Yeah, and there's not even a pivot at his price range.
Nope.
Like there is no way I'm messing with 11.8 Cueto. And that's not even really a pivot. That's $1,600. So
if Cueto were healthy, or like maybe healthy,
stretched out,
but like not just coming off the DL.
Sure,
it's different.
Exactly. So there's kind of a case anytime there's huge chalk like this. You could take a batter or two against him if you don't want to play him. I would go Moncada or Polka. I think, dude, if you haven't seen Polka have what?
Raking.
Dude, he's just enormous. I haven't been watching the White Sox much, but I did watch them quite a bit this weekend because my cousin is a White Sox fan, and this guy is just enormous, and he hits monster shots. Like, I didn't realize how he looked, and now that makes me like him more. Just hits the ball so hard. And Verlander, I mean, you have to take a leverage bat or two against him if you don't play him, right? Because you're assuming someone's going to get to him if you don't have him in your lineup, right?
I won't have a single White Sox.
I will, because I'm not going 100% in on Verlander. He hasn't been as great lately. Like, he's given up 5 earned, 4 earned in his last couple games. Let's look at like his hard contact. It's been up the last couple games as well. So I'm just looking for anything to poke holes in Verlander, and it's tough because he is by far the best option in the slate, but certainly a case to fade, and I'll know more what I'm going to do by the time we get to the live stream. So we'll see where I'm at in a few hours, but considering going way underweight on Verlander.
Antoine Murphy, always here to bring the good takes. Verlander, easy fade, 76% LMAO.
I mean, anytime you...
If that's an easy fade to you, congratulations.
Anytime you're fading chalk, it should be a little bit scary. You shouldn't feel great about it. I mean, in a sport like baseball, you can make a case that you should always fade chalk. But it's a little different in pitching. They get to control everything, and... Like, even if Verlander gives up 3 in the first, he could still have 8 strikeouts and give up 3 in 5 innings and be the highest scoring pitcher on the slate because there's just no one with his upside.
Right. That's the problem. The gap between him and 2, like, it's like there's not a second best guy today. It's like they skipped
he's like the top 3 options.
Right. It's Verlander.
And then everyone else below.
I have him at 30.4 DK points. Next closest is Shelby Miller at 17.7.
Yeah, I got him at 29.5, so we're right around 30.
And I don't normally do stuff like this because it's not my paywall, but for today I think it's applicable. Justin Verlander on Fantasy Cruncher on FanDuel projected for 58.6. Next closest is Cueto in the mid-30s, which I think will get adjusted once it's not 9 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then, where's Shelby Miller? Shelby Miller, 21. Like, Verlander's projected to be double everyone else. It's such an incredible gap I just like, it makes me wish there was a Coors game here, with like both teams having $5,000 salaries across the board.
Right.
Verlander is just such an outlier today.
But I mean, that's the case, right? All the expensive bats have great games. Like even Verlander's Astros, the top three. If you take them, it's gonna be tough to fit in Verlander, unless you're getting a guy like Shelby Miller, and I don't want to eat that chalk. So, if you go two mid-tier pitchers and they both are okay, and Verlander doesn't go for 40, I think you're going to be okay. So
the key takeaway here is that you don't have to fade Verlander to get expensive bats.
Yeah.
You can have Verlander and almost any one of these pitchers. And let's be clear here. You could put 10 of these guys into a hat and pull their name out, and they could be the top pitcher. Like, it's the most spread out I've seen the secondary group of pitching all season.
That's
so
fair.
You can have Verlander plus Eric Lauer at 5,300 and go get whatever expensive bats you want on a particular stack. Like if you're on DK, you can grab 5 of the most expensive stack bats that you want and still be able to fill out your lineup, because there's teams like the Orioles that have guys at like 3,000. That's the reason Verlander's so high, because you can get to the big stuff as well, as you'll see when we take a look at our crunches.
Yeah, I'm excited for these crunches. This will be good.
Like Verlander could give up 4 runs, K10. It's.
Yeah, that's the problem. He's just so much strikeout upside.
I'm projecting him for 10.7 Ks. Shelby Miller is second with 6.4. 4 full strikeouts ahead. White Sox strike out 25% of the time against righties, well above average. Below average in weighted runs created plus, well below average in hard hit percentage. Like it would be the only way that this game could get more ridiculous is if they somehow moved Max Scherzer to the Astros. That's it. Like that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna be on paper. This is a bloodbath.
It should be, right? But you never know.
When he gets blown up, and like Pablo Lopez and Aaron Sledgers wins the mini-max, it's just going to be an outstanding day.
My boy Sledgers.
Honestly, I might tape... How many pitchers are there? 16? I might tape them all to my dartboard. Just
start throwing.
Strap with a sleep mask on and just hope for the best. All right, I got Chacin and Matt Boyd. Whatever.
Yeah. The point is well taken. A lot of these pitchers are pretty much the same. Like, I don't have strong takes on a lot of them, so it's just going to be a smattering of everyone.
What do you think of the Astros bats?
I mean, I like Rodon as a pitcher, but it just seems like he hasn't been playable due to his matchups. So I'll be going with the top 5 here, and Stassi to differentiate off Gaddis in some of them. They're just so good against lefties if you just look at their WRC pluses, and sort of like a catch-all stat, but they're just awesome hitters. So not much to say against the lefty at home here for Houston.
Zach Jameson, it might be difficult to see. Column AP, it's the closest one to the chat on my screen, is the percentages. So you'll see Verlander's 73. You could see the rest of them as well. If you're curious, I could shout them out, but if you're able to see it, they're all right there.
You want to share your screen with me?
Dude, I definitely did that.
Yeah, I know. I'm kidding.
Okay. I knew I did it. Don't do that to me. For that split second, I had like a mini anxiety attack. So Astros bats are weird. I've got them a ton on FanDuel. I'm over the field. And then on DK, I've got like half the exposure. So I got a lot of Springer, Bregman, Altuve, Gurriel, Marwin Gonzalez on FanDuel. And I think a lot of it has to do with Marwin Gonzalez being a shortstop in 2,300 on FanDuel instead of a first base outfielder $3,300 guy, which is, I can't really wrap my head around that one.
Has he played shortstop this year?
I have no idea. What does he play? Like, I really don't know the answer to that.
I know he plays first base sometimes.
Are you gonna beat me to it?
No, I'm not looking at that right now.
Okay, let me look it up.
Got it.
Okay, so he has played 20. He started 20 games at first, 4 games at second, 2 games at third, 13 games at shortstop.
Okay.
35 games in left.
So he is just all over the place.
Yeah.
All right.
20 at first. Yeah, I mean, I guess outfield and first are his 2 primary positions. I'd like him to play short a little bit more to get that shortstop eligibility on DK.
Don't you have to play 15 games or something at that position?
You can't have more than 3 spots, though, so I assume they take the 2 most.
Okay.
Because right now, it's first base is 20, outfield is 35, and then shortstop is 13. So, like, they're not going to move shortstop ahead of first until, I would guess, he would pass first.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll have quite a bit of the Astros. I'll probably look to fit a little bit more in on DraftKings. I don't like the idea of being 3% exposed to that. I like Rodon, but maybe not so much against Springer, Bregman, Altuve, Gurriel, and Gaddis. That's not the best recipe for a left-handed starter.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, moving on from the Justin Verlander is the greatest thing that's ever happened day. Padres and Diamondbacks. Padres, 4-run implied total. Diamondbacks, 4.6. It's a 57% chance to win for the D-backs. Eric Lauer going for San Diego. Shelby Miller going for the D-backs. This is the spot that I think is the craziest of the day. Shelby Miller projected 47% ownership on DraftKings. I assumed last night that one of the guys on the slate, most likely Shelby Miller, was going to break free from the sea of dudes in the middle tier of this. And that shook out. Shelby Miller projected 47% ownership. I won't be anywhere remotely close to that. I have 25% right now. I'd like to stay somewhere in the half range. If this game were in Petco, I might feel a little bit different, but I don't need 50% of Shelby Miller in Arizona. He's not that good of a pitcher to have that sort of respect on a day where lots of SP2 options are coin flips.
Right.
And you don't need his particular 6,700.
Yeah, that's the thing I don't understand. Why is everybody going to the same SP2? Or why would everybody want to? Like, he's getting some strikeouts, but the swinging strike rate isn't there, 7% in his first 2 starts. And the hard contact, 50%. Like, I don't know what to say. I'm certainly not going to have anywhere near what we have him owned at right now. And that may come down a little bit as you go lower in stakes, but still, Shelby Miller chalk here when there's so many options around his price within like 1,500 each side.
Oh my God. You see the temperature in that game today?
110. I would assume the roof would be closed.
Shut that shit. Oh my God.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm interested in some San Diego bats just because if we see anywhere near this kind of chalk for Shelby Miller, then I want the other side of that. I like Perella, Hosmer, Will Myers, I think are my favorites.
Agreed.
There's just not that many good hitters on the Padres, but I'll have some Padres stacks just because I need to leverage that spot if I'm going to be playing Verlander.
I couldn't agree more. I would like to be... Yeah, that dome better be closed on that heater. Jesus, you'll melt. Can you imagine like a long inning, just standing in center field, melting? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it's dry heat, so it's not that different, but... Or, I mean, it feels different, but yeah, it is just intense.
Yeah, I love the idea of having... This is the spot where I think going to a hedge stack on the Padres is the play.
Yeah.
Shelby Miller just shouldn't be that owned on a day like today. I have him as 20% chance of being a top 2 scoring pitcher. I think that seems relatively reasonable. He's the best option of everybody else, but that doesn't make me want to go crazy. Based on their ownership projections, and, you know, this isn't the easiest way to do it, but we would expect 35% of the lineups in a tournament to be Verlander, Shelby, Miller.
Yeah.
So just being someone else, just having someone other than Shelby Miller is giant differentiation, comparatively speaking.
Yeah, I think if I'm going to a full fade, it's probably Shelby. So if I'm full fading one pitcher, I think it would be him, because I'm not comfortable with the full fade of Verlander just because there's no other options around him. But there are a ton of other options that I like as much or better than Miller in this price range.
Yeah, if you're going to Verlander and Miller, then you want to go to, like...
You need to get, like, Angels and Mariners and Giants and Cardinals. Like, you need to attack these spots that are just going to be very, very low owned.
Get away from the Twins.
Yeah. I mean, there's no point. In the single entry, I don't think there's a point in doing that.
Right.
Everyone's going to do the same thing. And
yeah, like in lineups that I have Verlander and Miller in, like, the mini-max where there's 150, if I do have the Twins, you best believe that that 3-man stack is going to be like the Braves or the White Sox or the Brewers. You know, somebody that we're not putting anything on.
Yeah.
Because it's 35% is crazy.
Yep.
1/3. Every third lineup is Verlander, Shelby Miller.
It's ridiculous.
Today's a rare day, man.
What about Diamondbacks bats? We should probably chat about them, huh?
Yeah, 4th for me on FanDuel, 7th on DK. I'm a little bit above the field on both sites. A lot of that is just congregated in the 2, 3, 4. So Nick Ahmed, Paul Goldschmidt, AJ Pollock. I hate Nick Ahmed because he sucks, but
he's good.
He's certainly not. But it's a cheap price for a shortstop, so I'll have him. I'm under the field. We're projecting 20% ownership for Nick Ahmed. Somehow he's the chalk shortstop of the day. Riddle me that one. I don't know. I guess that's what happens when you play Eric Lauer. I don't know.
Yeah, Lauer.
I like Lauer.
Oh God, I hate Lauer. I think Lauer's bad. I think Ahmed is good. So Lauer giving up 40+% hard contact, 33.3% line drive rate to righties, a 179 whip, gets some strikeouts, but man,
not again. Jake, I lost you. I just hope it's you and not me.
John Ryan Murphy against the left. So do I. So Diamondbacks. I don't know what's not to like about Ahmed against the lefty. Against the righty, sure, he's nothing special, but against lefties, he hits them spectacularly well. 146 WRC plus going back to last season.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
He might be my dong tonight.
Nick Ahmed?
We'll see. We'll see.
Holy shit! You get that one, man. You could. I'll buy that crown of dongs for you.
He's good.
We'll get that commissioned. Because if you can call a Nick Ahmed dong today, we can shut this shit down. That's the winner. If you start calling like D. Gordon type guys hitting home runs or something.
He's much more powerful than D. Gordon.
Sure. Or John Jay, I guess. You call it John Jay dong.
Oh my God. Didn't he double dong this year against the lefty?
He definitely went yard against the lefty. I don't remember if he hit another one too, but he definitely went yard against the lefty. Like right after the trade too, I think.
Mm-hmm. We're like, oh, this guy's awful against lefties, and he dongs just like Benintendi.
It might have been game 1 or game 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the way I remember it, at least. Yeah. So I'll have a decent amount of the Diamondbacks. It doesn't look like the lefties on the deep. Oh, well, it doesn't look like David Peralta in particular is getting a lot of respect. 1% owned. Same for Jake Lamb. So Murphy, all the righties I'm in. My focus in this game, or at least my goal in this game, will be to have more Padres so that I could take advantage of that outlandish Shelby Miller ownership.
Yeah. I agree.
Lee wins yesterday thanks to avoiding the advice of these pump and dump artists. Is that us?
Bigly wins yesterday.
Are we pump? What's a pump and dump?
I don't know what pump and dump is. Is Tom Kennedy in here? I haven't seen Tom
today.
Yeah, I think he may be traveling or something.
Pump and dump is terminology I know for women breastfeeding. So I got nothing.
I don't know. Maybe they were referring to the activities at my house this weekend. There's a lot of babies around, so maybe the pump and dump. Who knows?
Yeah, I got nothing. Angels and Mariners, you ready?
I'm ready.
Angels, 4.2 run implied total. Mariners, 4.2 run implied total. This game's like the only game that's normal for me. Jaime Barria going for the Angels. Marco Gonzalez going for Seattle. No ownership whatsoever being projected to Barria. $8,100 price tag, probably a little something to do with that. And the fact that he doesn't strike anybody out and has a 5.16 projected FIP from Steamer. Marco Gonzalez, I've got 8% right now. He's Marco Gonzalez. Wouldn't shock me if he played really well. Wouldn't shock me if the Angels beat him into submission. It's just one of those days, man. Are you going to get to Barria at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think Barria's good. So I don't think it's a great matchup for him, but I think he's a good pitcher. He'll be a guy that I have in this mid-tier. Just gets a lot of swings and misses, and a guy like that can have some upside on the slate and maybe separate himself if he's got his A game. So that's my interest there. And then, I don't know, do you like Marco Gonzalez?
A little bit.
I think
10%.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got him at 13. Like, that's might be like a point or two higher than I would like, but you know, that's fine.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
in Seattle, I guess it's okay. Low run total. I don't know. I don't know how to justify it. He's in trouble, man. That's those righties on the Angels lineup are scary as shit.
Well, yeah. I mean, Trout and Upton mostly, at least for me. I don't know. Can Fletcher hit lefties? I haven't seen much of him.
But I would imagine. I mean, it doesn't look like he can hit anything really, but I'll assume that he could hit lefties better than righties.
I'm sure. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Marco coming off a complete game with a 17.7% swinging strike rate against Kansas City, 50% chase rate. Like, he's got good stuff. There's no doubt about it. 4 straight games with 10 or higher swinging strike rates. That sticks out to me. Getting a ton more chases over the last 4 starts. I mean, so just a guy that's pitching very well right now and missing a lot of bats. And against teams like Boston and the Yankees and the Angels, actually. So, yeah, I don't mind him. I think he's a perfectly fine play in this option, in this range as well.
Are you getting to any bats? Because we're not projecting much ownership to any of these guys. Mariners a little bit on DK, and that's mostly just D. Gordon and Zunino for reasons that exist.
Let's see here.
These aren't the most like awe-inspiring stacks.
Cruz and Haniger again against righties. Either side, they're almost always in play for me. Barria is giving up a lot of hard contact to righties, a lot of fly balls, and only striking them out at a 16% rate. Almost no soft contact for him too. So righties are squaring him up, and Haniger and Cruz can hit righties very, very well. So those are the 2 guys I'm targeting mostly. And then on the other side, just Trout, Upton, and Andrelton Simmons really for me.
I got called a bum in our chat.
What?
Hey, Jake, you got complimented. Jerome Edelman, not a big fan of me. Thanks for waking up early to see me, though, buddy. Makes me happy. If it's making your day worse, it's making my day better.
We're fake news?
Yeah,
Why are we?
Well, apparently I'm fake. Oh, I'm really fake news. You occasionally give out good information. So.
All right, Jerome.
I just spew BS.
I don't know why he's watching. I mean, you can hate watch, I suppose. but
yeah, man.
there's probably not other streams going on right now, huh?
Yeah. I couldn't be happier.
Better than RG. There we go.
Oh man, it's such a high bar to cross. Oh god. So, if Marco Gonzalez is 13% owned, I would like to force in a little bit more of these right-handed Angels bats. If he's 13%, why are more people not on Pujols and Andrelton Simmons and I don't know, Justin Upton? 3% for Justin Upton.
Yeah, I like Andrelton. I like Upton, and yeah, I mean Trout's Trout, so he's always in play. I don't mind these guys. I do think Marco is good, and he's pitching really well. So that's my only worry with them.
Yeah, no, I get that. It surprises me on a day like today that people wouldn't be looking to some of these righties. I guess that's the respect for Marco Gonzalez. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like Trout, Upton, Pujols, Simmons, first base, shortstop, outfield. I think that's really easy to get to.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It is really easy to get to. That's why I thought they would be higher owned than they are against a lefty, but you know, people just like them some Marco apparently, but not as much as Shelby Miller. I prefer Marco over Shelby Miller. I'll say that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm with you there. Aaron Rasmus, 13%, not all that high. It kind of is today.
Yeah, because you've got Verlander and Shelby, and then everyone else just kind of bunched together.
Yeah, like he's the fourth most owned guy behind Verlander, Shelby, Eric Lauer, and then Marco Gonzalez. So when I think that everybody is basically the same guy, anybody that separates from the pack is somebody I want to be on the opposite side of.
Mm-hmm.
Final game. We get to talk about someone particular that I like. Cardinals, 3.5 run implied total. Giants, 4.0. It's a 56% chance to win for the Giants. Luke Weaver going for the Cardinals. Johnny Cueto going for the Giants. Luke Weaver's the guy that I'm going to be a little bit higher on. Only 9% ownership right now. I'd like to be somewhere in the neighborhood of double that. I think that'll be my spot to be like up above the field. 4-run implied total for the Giants in San Francisco. I like the idea of all of that.
I mean, I like the idea of, yeah, I mean, I get why you want to play Weaver. I just don't think he's as good. I thought he would be a chalky option here. And maybe it's because it's hard to fit him with Verlander and all the big bats. But 8K in a very good park. And I'm not sure about his upside. I've never been sure about Weaver. He's just overall confusing to me. So I'm more likely to target against him, I think, with Hansen and Belt and Crawford. And then maybe even some McCutchen. But I get it. It's a low total, and it looks like he's going to be pretty unowned.
Something is going weird here with my stuff, but that's fine. Yeah, he is going to be really low owned. It's kind of crazy. You're not paying up for Cueto, right?
I am no.
11.8 on DK, 8,300 on FanDuel. I don't expect him to go deep enough in the game. I don't know why they didn't adjust his price here. We're only projecting 2% ownership. I think that's fine. If you want to take him as a flyer and hope things click, I get it. But I would much prefer Weaver in this scenario. Projecting no ownership whatsoever to the bats in this game. That seems weird. I mean, I get it, but I feel like this should be higher than 1% aggregate for the Cardinals and 2% aggregate for the Giants.
Has Cueto made rehab starts? Because
I believe so.
I just assumed he wasn't stretched out, but let's
I think
see
he went
here.
4 innings in his most recent rehab start.
4 innings. Let's go to his pitching game logs. Let's see how many pitches he threw. So he pitched on June 29th. All right, 69 pitches. Nice. So, oh god. All right. So there's your case, right? So he can throw, what, 90 if, 90, 95 if things go really well. And he's getting a lot of righties. I guess there is a case to be made to pivot to Cueto, especially if he's going to be 1/30th, 1/35th of the ownership that Verlander's going to be. So that shouldn't be the case. I mean, I thought he was just, like, this was his first start back. I didn't realize he was making a couple of rehab starts before. So that's encouraging. Righty-heavy lineup is encouraging as well. I don't think it's the worst pivot in the world.
God, why is this being so weird?
Yeah, I agree, Lorenza. Cueto will most likely be on a pitch count. But if that pitch count is 90 or so, then I'm at least I think he could get some strikeouts here. And I don't think he has nowhere near the upside that Verlander has, but if Verlander has an off game and Cueto pitches well and pitches efficiently, then he could theoretically outscore him. And at that ownership discrepancy, it makes sense to pivot.
I just wish he was like 10K.
Yeah, but I mean, no one's going to be on him here. And I don't know. I mean, it's at least an option to pivot. He did get a lot of swinging strikes in his last start with those 69 pitches. So that's encouraging. Got 6 strikeouts. I don't know. Yeah, not a great slate. I agree, Joe.
Daniel Ensley, what 2 pitchers would you guys pivot to from Verlander? I don't have a recommendation for that. If you're not going to take Verlander, and like obviously there are scenarios where that's fine if you're mass entering. I don't think that there are 2 other pitchers that are like, oh, well, these are the obvious 2 options. All of them.
Yeah. So I think I would go to Cueto, I guess. And I had no interest in him before 5 minutes ago, but now seeing that he's getting up there in pitches, and he's not a guy that's been going super deep anyways. Like, he rarely gets to 100. He hasn't gotten to 100 this year in his 5 MLB starts. So, if he can throw, 10 less pitches than what he usually does, there's a case to be made for sure. Yes, Jeffrey, I think so. I think he could do enough at 90 pitches.
Yeah, if he's at 2%, so like he's 10% on FanDuel, which is interesting. Mostly because his price is 8,300, a much more reasonable spot for a guy coming off the DL. At 2%, I mean, you don't need a ton of lines to be way over 2%. If you play the mini max, you need what? 5 lines of Cueto to be better than that?
Yeah. And you guys should be playing the mini max, by the way.
Yeah, 50 cents today.
Yeah. I think there's 47,000 entries, so
yeah. Great.
Gonna be tough, but
yeah. I hate the mini max.
Why do you hate the mini max?
I don't know. I don't know.
You've been smashing it lately.
It depends on what your definition of lately is.
Last week,
I should check to see how I'm doing in the mini max, like for the season.
And if you want to just go with 20 lineups, you can go with the table setter on DK. I think that's one of the better tournaments. If they had a $2 150 max, I think that would be. I would play that every day, no matter what. But they haven't done it just yet.
All right, the mini max. Yeah, I'm up quite a bit on the mini max. I love the mini max.
I told you, man. You smashed the mini max.
ROI is very nice on the mini max.
We crunching it?
Jerome, man, you gotta calm down.
Yeah, why are people so mad this morning?
Yeah. I don't care if you come in here and call me a clown, but we don't need to just have like a weird back and forth with people in the chat.
Crunches. I agree with Matthew.
I agree as well. Let's hop to crunches. I'm pulling it over here now. All right, we'll do DK.
Oh, Shark Talk, dude. That's not easy. All right, here we go.
Maybe.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see these. So Fantasy Cruncher needs to cooperate. I want to see what the Verlander hype is, besides him being in the best spot by far.
Alrighty, so Verlander, and I don't think I need to pick anybody else.
Just
let's take a look at it first to see if we need to hash it down, but it's not like there's going to be so much variability.
Verlander Marco. Verlander Sled.
So that's fascinating right there. Verlander Lauer, Verlander Sledgers. 5-man twin stack, 5-man nat stack. They're separated by 6/100ths of a point in my projections.
Wow.
Basically completely different lineups.
I like it. Dude, if we're going to get the Nats under-owned, if we're going to get the Diamondbacks under-owned because everyone's on the Twins, if we're going to get the Brewers under-owned, like, this slate looks a lot better to me. If you can stomach fading the Twins, which I mean, I can do that just fine. And I'm the Twins homer, right? So
all four of these, yeah, I'm with you 100%. All four of these first lines are in the 116s for projection. Here's one with Verlander, Marco Gonzalez, a 5-man Rangers stack. Here's Verlander Sledgers with a 5-man Tiger stack, 5-man Twin stack, 5-man Nat stack. You can have Verlander and anybody with whatever you want. It's crazy. It's so crazy. Here's two Verlander Shelby Millers with, Nats and Tigers, Twins and Rangers. You can get to Verlander and the Twins. It's insane. It's so insane.
Daniel's asking for a Cueto and Marco crunch.
Jesus.
Just tongue fading. Yeah, that is a weird comment.
I got one line of Cueto Marco on my original crunch. So let's just 96. Yeah, that's too low. Let's see if we can get a couple other lines.
All right, here we go. Cueto Marco.
Let me sort it. Yeah, I mean, they all look really good to me. Hicks, Martinez, Goodrum, Matuk, Aducci, Rendon, Turner, Harper.
Ooh, I like that.
Agreed.
I'm in on that. Let's see. What else? Mariners, Orioles. That'll be different.
Yeah. And I like it, too. Trumbo, Beckham, Machado, Jones, and Colby Rasmus? Sure.
You can definitely get different with Cueto. There's no doubt about it. So I was saying he wasn't a pivot before. I mean, I guess he is. He's not technically a pivot because he's not in the same price range, but he's the closest you got to Verlander. And $1,600 is enough to upgrade at least a couple bats.
Yeah, I would say just don't go crazy, because if we're going to keep him at 2%, he's not a guy where you want to go to like 15 just because of his scenario. That's
sure.
You could triple the field pretty easily and just like chill out.
Chill out, yeah.
But yeah, so that's why Verlander is as chalky as he is, because you can make your lineup look like whatever you want, and no one can match his upside.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Yeah, did I just say Colby Rasmus?
What?
What line was that? I already redid it. Yeah, why is Colby Rasmus in here right now?
Can you guys crunch FanDuel?
Yeah, Rasmus essentially retired. I don't know why he's in the Fantasy Cruncher player pool coming up with a projection. So he was in one of those Baltimore crunches, and I didn't catch it when I read it off. I don't know why he's in the Fantasy Cruncher player pool with a projection, but he didn't get overridden in mine because he's not in my player pool. Crazy. What did you just say, Jake?
Brandon's asking if we can crunch FanDuel. If you just want to check that out quick. Yeah, Rasmus retired again.
Do you always start crunches with pitchers? For today, yeah. Like I would rather just grab 2 pitchers and see what hitters end up with it, because then you don't have to start grabbing like 5 guys at a time, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's the way you need to build a lineup, but just for like our sake, it's easier to get to an answer faster.
Yeah, because we're mostly looking at like construction and why the chalk will be the chalk based on the 2-pitcher combo. So that's why Josh locks 2 pitchers, so we can see what different lineups look when you take pitchers at different price ranges.
Yeah. I mean, none of this. Yeah, this is just for like the idea of how lineups will be built. None of these lineups are relevant now.
Yeah.
Okay, FanDuel. So obviously Verlander will be in half of the lineups, just to get an idea of what that looks like.
Man.
I mean, it's just going to be lots and lots of 4-man stacks of the best shit you can find.
Apparently. Wow.
I like that that Brewers Diamondbacks one. Goldschmidt, Ahmed, Pollock, Jay, Nate Orf, Braun, Hernan Perez, and VR. That'll be a line that ends up in my shit for sure.
My boy Aducey on FanDuel is 2K.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. So is Matuk.
Mm-hmm. That's why the Tigers look so tasty on FanDuel.
Yeah, jeez.
I mean, Morrison, Polanco, Kepler, Mauer, Rua, Chu, Beltre, Odor. Like, you're grabbing some of those barely owned lefties on the Rangers that'll make a Verlander lineup with the twin stack significantly easier to get to.
Yep.
Because if Odor or Chu do anything in that lineup, you're looking really nice.
Freed projection. I mean, I think he's going to really struggle with those righties, as most lefties do, specifically Braun and Aguilar. So I'm not very excited about playing Freed. I actually like the Dodgers as one of my favorite stacks. Or the Dodgers. I'm so used to saying the Dodgers lately because they've been so good to me, but the Brewers, I mean.
I have Freed at 13.9 on DK. All right, so let's see what happens when you don't have Verlander on FanDuel. And then we'll get out of here. I guess Shelby Miller.
Yeah, I guess.
It's different on FanDuel. Oh, God, it's great. That's crazy. You just pay. You get whatever you want. If you roster Shelby Miller or almost anybody else, you get whatever you want. Mauer, Rosario, Escobar, Dozier, one-off Trey Turner, David Peralta, Goldschmidt, and A.J. Pollock. I mean,
that's the recipe.
That is the recipe, all right. Unbelievable. Because the Diamondbacks look decent in that scenario. You get to like one-off studs.
Yeah.
Like Bryce Harper.
So stacks of the day. Let's just cap it off. Who are your favorite stacks of the day?
Gee, I wonder if that shows up in an article on Awesemo.com.
Yeah. All right, I'll go with mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, who did you write
yours? Mine are on the website already.
Okay. Yeah, my favorites are I like Arizona. I like Milwaukee. I mean, the Twins are going to be chalk, but also love the Nats and love the Tigers on DK. I haven't looked at FanDuel much.
Lorenzo Robinson, way to go out on a limb there.
I like it.
The Nats will have the highest.
I like
score.
it, Lorenzo.
They also have the highest implied total. But I'll take the field on anybody, obviously.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's easy. You always take the field. Baseball.
Okay. Let's do that. I'll pick a team that I think has the highest scoring day.
Who do you got?
I got...
Not Minnesota. I know you're not going to pick Minnesota.
Let's say Tigers.
Okay. I like it.
Me too. Me too. Man, today's going to be fun. I'm anxious to pop into live stream tonight.
Oh, yeah. We'll be cooking in there. We'll be cooking.
It's going to be a weird one tonight, people.
Yeah.
Either winning big or continuing my streak of getting creamed this first couple days of July. I want to go back to June. June was very, very good.
Yeah. July's been
everybody.
good to me the first 3 days, so excited.
Spotlight pictures out yet?
No, I'm doing those right now.
Slack.
I know.
Spotlight pictures coming shortly. Spotlight hitters and stacks. You know they're already up. Check out everything else on the website today. Game plan, email. Check that out.
1 Eastern.
Should
Bro.
be 1 Eastern. We'll see.
Yeah.
Live stream tonight, 6 o'clock. Jake and Chris. I will poke my head in for a little bit. I think that's probably it, right? It's kind of a dull Thursday of sports other than this weird-ass 8-game slate.
Yeah. Agreed.
Good
luck, guys.
Somewhere in the early afternoon, depending on when I get the juice to do it. I don't know how I'm going to find a pitcher to talk about. I guess it's probably going to be Luke Weaver. Spoiler alert. Alrighty, guys. Best of luck tonight. We'll talk to you later.